Hey guys, this is Jose Dominic. I'm a software engineer. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing because I make videos like this every single week. And if you like the video, make sure you leave a like and leave your thoughts in the comment section. So with that out of the way, let's get straight into the video. Alright guys, so before we get into today's topic, last week I made a video about the importance of having a vision in your life. So this video is kind of a continuation of that video, so if you have time, make sure you check that one out. With that out of the way, today's topic is how to create habits that actually stick. So before learning how to create new habits, you have to first understand what a habit is scientifically and how it works in our brain. So the things that I talk about in today's video, I haven't just made these things up. These are tips that I got from a best-selling book called Atomic Habits, written by James Clear. So according to James Clear, a habit works as a cycle in our brain, and the cycle has 4 parts to it, and these 4 parts are the cue, craving, response, and reward. So let me explain these terms to you with an example. So we all have a habit of brushing our teeth in the morning, right? So it always starts with the cue. The cue means the trigger. Whatever triggers us to start our habit is called the cue. So with the example of brushing our teeth, usually for most of us, waking up in the morning is the cue. So when we wake up in the morning, we get this urge to brush our teeth. Oh, I have to brush my teeth. I've woken up, I have this bad feeling in my mouth, so I need to brush my teeth. So that is the cue or the trigger for your habit of brushing your teeth. So when you get the trigger of waking up in the morning, that is the cue. So the next part is the craving. That is the urge you get to brush your teeth. So that urge of having to do the habit, that is called the craving. So now we have gotten to the craving part. We have waken up in the morning, we got the trigger, now we get the craving to brush our teeth. So we have gone through 2 cycles, the cue, the craving. So the next part of the cycle is the response. That is when we get the urge to brush our teeth, we do an action in response to the craving. So that is called the response. So in this case of brushing our teeth, what is the response? The response is the act of brushing our teeth. So we got the cue, then we got the craving, then we did an action in response to it. That is the response. So when the response is done, we get a reward for it. So what is the reward in this case? So for every habit, there will be a reward that we get. So that's why we repeat it every single day. So in this case of brushing our teeth, the reward is that good feeling that we get after we brush our teeth, that freshness, that feeling of freshness. So what happens when we get that reward? So the brain remembers this. So the brain connects the initial cue of waking up in the morning. So next time we wake up in the morning, the brain remembers that, oh, when I get this urge, if I do this so and so action, so at the end I'm going to get this reward. That is that pleasure that we get from brushing our teeth. So the brain remembers this and connects this cue to this reward. So the next time the cue happens, it follows through to the craving, response, and reward, and the cycle repeats over and over again. So this is how a habit forms. So the higher the reward, the higher the probability of the brain to repeat that action. So this is how basically any habit works. So I hope I was able to convey an idea to you guys about a habit cycle. So it starts with the cue, you move on to the craving, which is the urge you get, and you do some action in response to it, and at the end you get a reward. So because you got the reward, the brain remembers the cue and repeats that cycle every single day. So this is how a habit works. So now that we have understood how a habit cycle works, the next thing we need to do is how to create a new habit. So when you create a new habit, you have to make sure that each part of this habit cycle is included and properly managed in your new habit. So let's take an example of let's say you want to create a new habit of reading a book every day. So you want to create this new habit of reading reading a book every single day. So what do you do? So the first part, that as we have understood, is the cue, right, of of how any habit starts. So you need to make this trigger as obvious as possible. So let's take an example. You need to start reading a book every day. So what do you do? So you need to fix the cue in your daily routine somewhere. So you need to set a trigger that makes you remember that, oh, I have to do this habit. So that has to be as obvious as possible. So I'll give you an example. So one example is you can set a time, that is, I will read a book at so and so time, that is, let's say 5 p.m. every single day. Or another example is, a more obvious example is having dinner. So I will read a book right after I have my dinner every single day. So this you will never miss, because dinner you usually do not miss, right? At least most of us do not. So every day we will have our dinner. So as soon as you finish your dinner, you will remember, oh, I have to read the book. book. So this is what you do. The cue, the trigger of your habit has to be as obvious as possible. So as we continue with the example, now you have finished your dinner, so you remember to read the book. So you get that that is the craving to read the book. So what is the next part? The response. So the response in the cycle has to be as easy as possible when you try to create a new habit. So when you try to create a new habit of reading a book, don't set a goal to read like 20 pages a day. It's not going to work. You're going to stop after a few days. So the best thing to do, I'd suggest, is try to read at least 1 page a day. So, and in this response part, to make it as easy as possible, maybe some days you don't feel like reading at all. So I would say divide this response part of the cycle into 2 parts, the low bar and the high bar. That is, the low part should be the minimum action that you take, and the high bar should be the maximum action that you can take. So when you create a new habit of reading a book, I would say set the low bar to like, I will read at least 1 sentence a day, so that you do not break the habit. 1 sentence a day, and the high bar should be 1 page a day. So now we have set the response part of the cycle, we have gotten to the reward. So we need to set a reward. So in order for your brain to solidify this habit and make sure that it repeats it every single day, you have to add some sort of a small reward that gives your brain pleasure. So you will get the feeling of feeling good after reading a book, but that won't be enough. So maybe after you read your book 1 page a day, maybe give yourself a treat of your favorite chocolate, maybe 1 candy, that will do, or maybe play half an hour of your favorite video game. So the brain will connect this activity of playing the video game pleasure to reading your book. So next time you repeat this cycle, the brain will remember, oh, if I read this book, I can play my video game. So it will connect this act of reading your book to that pleasure of playing the video game. So what has happened now? You have successfully created the cue, craving, response, and reward cycle in the most efficient way possible. So let's say now Monday comes, the next day, you had your dinner, now you remember, oh, I have to read my book. So maybe you're not feeling very well, but oh, I just have to read 1 sentence. Then you read 1 sentence and you play your video game for half an hour, let's say. And this cycle repeats on and on, day in and day out. And eventually, after like maybe 3 weeks or so, you have successfully created a habit of reading a book every single day. And eventually, this will get easier. And as time goes by, you will realize that you will have read more pages than you ever thought you could. So guys, I hope that I was able to convey my idea to you successfully. So this is the basic. Let me just sum it up for you. Any habit has a cue, craving, response, and reward. So the idea when trying to create a new habit is you have to make the cue of the habit, that is the trigger, as obvious as possible, and so that you get the craving. And then the next part is the response. You have to make this response, the act, as easy as possible. And like I mentioned in the video, set a low bar and a high bar to make the response easy. And at the end, add a small reward so that this habit actually sticks. So yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. I hope I was able to convey the message to you guys. So in my next video, I will also tell you how you can break bad habits. So make sure you stay tuned and leave a like if you like this video. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section. So until next time, see you guys later.